Welcome to the Emerald Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Doyle, and on this podcast I speak to different Irish athletes about their highs, their lows, biggest battles, biggest successes, and why they fell in love with their sport. In this episode I chat to runner Catherina McKiernan. Catherina is a very successful Irish runner, winning several marathons and cross-country competitions. We chat about our top tips for people running the Dublin Marathon, the importance of running at your pace, the brilliance of Irish athletes, and so much more. Without further ado, Catherina McKiernan. Catherina, how are you? You're very welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much, Christopher, and looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, so am I. Can't wait to chat to you. A lovely day today as well, so it's a great day for anybody that might be going for a run or a bit of activity outside.
Yes, absolutely. It's fantastic, and I suppose a lot of people are preparing for the Dublin Marathon now as well. So the next couple of weeks is supposed to be nice. I think it's really the last few weeks of the training for the Dublin Marathon that can be a little bit challenging. Once the first or second week into October, but at that stage, they're tapering at that stage, so they get the bulk of their training in now in the pleasant weather.
Yeah, and if you were advising anybody going into it, is there anything you'd say definitely do this or definitely don't do that?
Yeah, I suppose my advice, Christopher, for people running the marathons is try to do as little as you can get away with. There has to be, the long runs have to be done, but think of it as the consistency over the whatever 16, 18, 20 weeks of training that'll get you there on the day. And yeah, look, it's a big commitment and it's a big undertaking, and you do have to do the training, but at the same time, try not to overdo it and try to get to that start line as fresh as you possibly can. And, just be sensible. And obviously, as we always say, not to be comparing yourself to other people. It's nice to be training in a group, but at the same time, let them do what they're doing and you just focus on what you can do. And, just the usual things that everybody knows. There's so much information out there now, but keeping it simple and just following your plan to the best of your ability, building up that long run gradually and taking lots of rest, lots of recovery, and of course making sure that you know what drinks that you're going to be taking on the day and practice them during your long run. And just enjoy the process. Isn't that what we always say? Enjoy the journey of it. Yeah. And the first one is always the easy one. So anyone that's out there for their first time, you're learning so much as well, which is great, and it's going to be a PB regardless of what time you're on, and it's all new and it's all a novelty. And look, there's great support on the Dublin Marathon route, and another thing is people get they get very nervous, they get very anxious in the days in the last week leading up to it, and just stay relaxed. You have the work done and know that you're going to do the best that you possibly can do. I suppose when I was competing, that was something I would have always said to myself, okay, I've prepared well and now I'm going to run to the best of my ability and know that I'm going to push myself to exhaustion. I suppose that was very soothing for me, knowing that, that I couldn't have done any better. So, just prepare as best you possibly can. I suppose with the preparation, that builds confidence. And then just relax about it, and I suppose be thankful as well that you're able to do it, and just soak it all up on the day and enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, and I love that comment, Catherina, just about, don't compare yourself to someone else because you're on a different chapter than other people, or some people could be doing a fast walk, run at a steady pace, and then some might be going really quick. So I think it's really good to avoid injury and give your best attempt, but stick to where you're at the same time. Yeah,
and also then as well to make sure that make sure to follow the correct pacers on the day. So you should know from your training what your body is capable of doing, and even though you're well rested and there's a great atmosphere, you might end up going too fast for the first 5 or 10 miles of the race and then pay for it in the second half. So just be careful that you know what you're capable of doing. I think some people might go into it running a little bit blind, and they can suffer then as a result. So just be aware from your training and just know what you can do, and you shouldn't hit the wall, or you shouldn't really hit any bad patches if you do that. If you go out at the paces that you have trained at, if your body is well used to those paces, and then if you keep hydrated and keep the fuel in, everything should be hunky-dory on the day.
Yeah. Please God, nobody goes into zone 5 after 1 or 2 kilometres and is out of breath, already. Yeah.
It'd be a long way home if that happened.
It surely would. Yeah. And Catherina, just to say to you as well, if anybody did, let's say, miss the Dublin Marathon and was thinking, I have to get the next marathon, and someone wanted to train, weeks or months out, what might you advise, or what way should they maybe go about it, or what's the usual structure that?
Yeah, just what do you mean, Christopher, exactly?
So, when you're would you do a full marathon at first, or would you just do 1 or 2 kilometres, or a couple of kilometres? What way is the best way maybe to go about it, or is there a best way?
So say that you want to run a marathon, is it?
Yeah. So if you set yourself up to do it, what would be, is it best to just get 1K under your belt, do 5, do 10? What's the best way to kind of, I suppose?
Yeah, so obviously build up very gradually. And if you're somebody that's new to running, I wouldn't be advising doing a marathon maybe for a couple of years, actually. And just, start with your 5K runs and then some 10K runs, and maybe after a while then build up to a half marathon. But as we all know, you can't compare a marathon to a half marathon. People think if they run a good half marathon time that, okay, I can run such a time in the marathon, but it doesn't add up. As we know, you're only halfway there. So don't get carried away with a good half marathon time. So, with running in general, it's a gradual progression. It's a lot of patience. And a lot of runners don't have patience, but the body needs to absorb all the mileage and all the training over, months and years. And, you just have to put in that work gradually. And, as I said, do your half marathons and then gradually build up to a marathon. But don't be in any rush. And everybody seems to want to run marathons. And, that's okay. But it's okay to tick the box and do one and leave it at that. But you can get a lot of satisfaction, and you can get that endorphin release from doing shorter races, even a 5K or a 10K, and the half marathons are very, very doable. The marathons are, I have to be honest, they are tough on the body. There's no doubt about it. They take a lot out of the body. It's not just the marathon day itself, but it's all the miles in preparation. So, if you don't get to do a marathon in your running career, it's not the end of the world. And as I said, most people out there running the marathon, they're doing it just to get that buzz and I suppose that fulfillment. But there's many other shorter races that you can do it in as well.
Yeah, and you're right. Even from me saying that, you're right, because there I was jumping to a marathon, not even thinking about a half marathon or even a 5K run. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about building up to a marathon without doing something maybe a small bit easier,
Yeah, and why were you thinking that, Christopher? Why?
I think it's maybe because there's such a buzz around the marathon and getting it done, and it's what you maybe see on social media all the time, and, this is what I want to do, and, I'd love to be able to cross the line and do a marathon, and maybe there's not a big thing about the half marathon maybe, or the 5K run.
Yes, yeah. I suppose look, I have done them, and then I suppose you get a little bit older as well, you get a little bit wiser, and I just like people to enjoy their running. And I don't like to see people injured and not being able to run, because why a lot of people start running in the first place is just to relieve stress and to feel good in themselves and about themselves. And, I would meet a lot of people along the way that are get injured in preparation for a marathon, and, they're really down in the dumps. And I feel that, if you do the shorter races, you have a lot more longevity. Rather than doing the long. And look, don't get me wrong, it is lovely and it's a great feat to finish a marathon, but maybe if you tick the box and do one, that's fine, but don't overdo it so that you can run until you get very, very old, just for the sanity and that feeling of well-being, because as I said, it can be tough on the body.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long way to go. And speaking of injuries as well, Catherina, just regards, maybe tips around footwear even? How important is that in terms of running?
Yeah, well, look, at the runners are so good now. They're fantastic. I think since after COVID, really, they have even gotten better again. And but I like to keep things simple. And what I say to people is go into a good running shop and try on a few pairs of runners and what fits comfortable on your feet. Get those. It's not what somebody else or your friend or somebody else in the running group has said, oh, these are great, I love them, and the best runners I ever had. Yeah, everybody's individual, so obviously go and try on a few pairs and what's comfortable for you. And, for training, I know we have as we call them, the fancy shoes now with the carbon plates, and they're great for the marathons and those long races, and they do take the impact off the body, but you wouldn't be training in them. Just maybe do a couple of, maybe one of your long runs or a longish kind of run and maybe an interval session in them, but you save them for the race themselves. And then on the other days when you're training, a shoe that, as I said, is not too complicated and what feels comfortable on your foot, and you can't go too far wrong.
Absolutely, and you might as well take advantage now of the good runners and the access to it that you have now as well. Go in and just, if you're going to run, maybe buy a good pair, and spend the money if it's going to be your hobby, and go out running and, do it right rather than, getting a cheap pair where the support mightn't be as good, and then, your ankle and stuff too when you're running. I'm sure it can happen more than we probably think. Yes,
absolutely. It's funny, I had a class with a guy there last week, and he's wanting to run sub 3 for the marathon, but he refuses to wear the carbon plated runners. He wants to do it without them, and then when he does it without them, he'll go, he'll get a pair of the carbon plated shoes, and then he hopes then to knock another 5 or 6 minutes then off. But you don't meet those sort of people very often now, to be honest.
Yeah.
They all use the carbon plated runners, and look, they're right. They're there, and everybody you're lining up against has them, and they do take the impact. Your legs aren't as beaten up after them, so it's a wise decision to make.
Yeah, definitely take every advantage you can.
Yeah, because it's difficult enough, isn't it?
No, I would take, to be honest, any advantage I can get. I would definitely take it. So yeah, I'm sure everybody will. And Catherina, I wanted to speak to you about, because I know you did lots of cross-country running, and you won your competitions, the European and the Worlds as well. What was that like as an experience cross-country running? Did you like it, enjoy it? What was it like?
Yeah, I suppose that's where I started, Christopher. Like, I grew up on a farm and I ran around the fields at home, mostly in my bare feet. And it was just very natural. It was something I loved to do, again, even at a young age, just because it made me feel good. I'm the youngest of 7, and it gave me confidence. I felt I had to batten my corner a little bit, being the youngest, and it's something that I found that I was good at. And then, my last year at secondary school, I won the All-Ireland schools, and it really took off from there. And I loved the simplicity of it. I loved how natural it was. And I suppose when you're winning, that helps too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it definitely does. And would you encourage people, because I always see people and maybe run out on the roads, and sometimes people be saying they might get bored. Would you encourage people maybe to get involved in cross-country running and, see the countryside? Is that a nice element to it too?
Yeah, but it's not really what people like to do. I think they prefer to put on the fancy shoes and go and run on the roads. And I suppose that's just where we are at the moment. And the vast majority of people are doing that. So it's like people follow the crowd. Look, we do have plenty of cross-country races in the winter time as well, but you wouldn't have huge crowds at them. But it is nice, and maybe it would be something to try and experience and see if you like it.
Yeah, absolutely, because I know my father did a bit of it as well, and he's always kind of raving about it, but at the same time, it still never got me out of the house to kind of get involved and do it. As you say, it's much get your fancy runners on, as you say, and go out. It was always seemed like not the most normal, but just what everybody else was doing.
Yes. But you can be different. You don't have to be like everyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to go out the same gate as all the other sheep. Try something different. But you might like it, and it's something, it makes it very strong and that. And in the winter months, it's something maybe I know a lot of the clubs and that they would have cross-country teams and to do it, it's a good team event. So, I think maybe more people should try it, and if more people try it, then it'll be alive again. Cross country will be much more popular now again.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it would be good to see more people get involved and try it. I also wanted to ask you, Catherina, because it's very big at the moment. Run clubs are a big thing now at the moment, and it's great because it's getting so many people meeting people, and running together and stuff. Was there kind of like run clubs when you were kind of competing and stuff as well? Did you run with a group and things like that?
No, I didn't now, Christopher, to be honest. I was up in Cavan for a lot of the time. When I moved to Dublin, all right, I did run a few of my long run with a group, but I would have done most of the training by myself, and I would have used the heart rate monitor. So I suppose that was my companion during the runs, and I had to train at the zones that was right for me. And the running groups, they're all fantastic, and it's a great way to get people motivated, and it has a lot of advantages. But something that you need to be careful about as well, not to get sucked into other people's pace. We say, for instance, a group meet up for a long run in preparation for the marathons, and somebody in that group, or maybe a half a dozen in that group, could end up running their long run too fast. So that's something that you need to be careful of. But it's a great way of socialising. It's a great way of meeting people. When you're with somebody running, the run does go by much, much quicker. And, if you're finding it difficult to get out at whatever 6:30 on a Sunday morning for your long run, or a Saturday morning, if you know that you're going to meet somebody, it definitely makes it much easier. But just be careful that, run at the paces that you want to run at and that's right for you, rather than going too fast or maybe too slow in some cases and not getting the progression with your training.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, you the heart rate monitor, so you would definitely suggest for someone maybe to get the Garmin or the Fitbit just to track the zones they're in, just to keep a track of when they're running.
Yeah, what I've been telling people in more recent times, to be honest, is to get tested on a treadmill and to get the heart rate monitor belt and know your zones, what your individual zones to train in, and work from that. Because sometimes, to be honest, you can be running blind and you're not getting progression, and you're wondering why you're not getting better, or you're wondering why you're getting injured or why you're tired. And I think it's a good idea, to go and get the test on the treadmill and follow your own heart rate zones, and you will see in time that you're going to improve.
Right. And can you just explain that to me, Catherina, because I actually don't know. When you say heart rate monitor, is it where you get a beep if you go up or down, or how does that work?
Yeah, it depends on the watch. Actually, back all those years ago when I was training and competing, the watch, so I had the belts on, and then I had the watch on my arm, and say I was doing a threshold run, which is an important run, and I always say it's the bread and butter of any training schedule. And say I was doing that, if I went over the heart rate, it would beep at me, and if I went under it, it would beep at me. So it was very, very satisfying to be honest, knowing that I kept it within the zones, and I knew then that I was training at the right paces for me. And if I was doing that, then I was going to be progressing and getting better. So keeping the watch quiet, that was my satisfaction.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a really kind of a good tip as well, because as we said before, you go to your zone 5 too early and stuff, you'll crash. And the dreaded zone 2 for myself that I find so hard to keep at is I feel like it's my worst enemy, to be honest. And
But it's important though, and definitely when I was training and using the heart rate monitor, the easy zone was important, because it meant that I went easy enough. And then, so that I was rested enough to go fast on the days that I was meant to go fast. And that's a mistake that, a lot of people make, but it's getting better. But a lot of people go too fast on the easy days. And then when, they have to do a session, they're a little bit tired and they're not able to run at the pace that they're supposed to run. And then you're not just getting any better as a result. So it is important to keep those easy runs easy. So run hard on the hard days and easy on the easy days. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I feel sometimes it's the right thing to do, but then again, it's so hard to do it. If you follow me, it's just a really hard thing to do. But it's something I'm definitely going to listen to now and try and see can I do it.
But that's where patience comes in, Christopher.
Yeah. Well, as a teacher, I should be patient, but maybe in the classroom not as much.
Well, we're always good telling other people. It's when we have to do it ourselves, isn't it? That's when it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah. But it's well worth it, and just be patient with it in time.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, Catherina, you went over abroad to do some marathons as well, I think in Amsterdam and Berlin. Was that a good thrill? Like, obviously it's special in Ireland, but going over to other countries to do marathons?
Yeah, it was good. there were good days for sure. And I suppose that's what I would say to other people as well. Like, it's great to do Dublin and a lot of people love their home marathons, but maybe to treat yourself and go away somewhere to do a marathon or even a half marathon or a 10K and just experience the atmosphere of what it's like to race abroad. And, stuff like that can keep you motivated, because often people can get a little bit unmotivated. And but if you have something like that to look forward to, it certainly keeps you going. And, it's a great experience to run in a different country. And I suppose it's even nicer as well when you cross the finish line first.
Yeah, no, winning definitely helps no matter what.
Yes,
it does help. And even on those journeys now, not to put you on the spot, Catherina, is there any one of them where it stands out to you that that's your favourite, that you loved, or do they all kind of have a special place where it was, great to take part?
Yeah, the Berlin Marathon I loved it because I felt so good. It didn't feel like a marathon. It felt more like a morning run 10K, to be honest. And it was my first one. So that's what I'm saying to the first time marathoners. It is exciting and there's no pressure on you. And, it's all new. So anything that's new, you have that extra energy. And I really liked the Berlin Marathon. Yeah, that was one of my favourite days for sure.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, it's your PB because it's your first one, so no one can take it away from you.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's a whole new experience and all of that, and so just for people to be, you can have all the training done and all the preparation, so just be careful not to do anything stupid in the days leading up to the race, and just make sure that you know what gels or whatever you're going to be taking, that they're going to stay down and they're not going to give you any hassle on the day. And they can be difficult to get right, and not every day is the same. So just play on the side of caution. I think we think that we need more than we actually do. If you're well rested in the days leading up to the marathon and you're eating a little bit more, your glycogen stores are going to be, they're going to be up. So, try not to overtake the gels either. I think it can be a little bit, some people overtake them and their stomachs don't react so well. So, just be careful on that front.
And is it better to fuel up for the whole week and then maybe a day before kind of cut back, or even the morning time? Would that be the best way, do you reckon?
Yeah, so I suppose, the week leading into the marathon, as I said, the fact that you're not doing very much running, naturally you're going to be fueling up and the glycogen stores are going to be rising. So, but, eat a little bit more, and then obviously the day before as well, have a little bit extra. But you need to be careful because the body can only take in so much as well. So, just try to get that balance right where you're not overeating either. And then on the morning of the race again, make sure to have your usual breakfast, what you know that it's going to stay down and it's not going to give you any hassle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel sometimes, again, this is Instagram and social media, you'll see somebody putting up the perfect breakfast or the perfect meal to have, and it's all food you never eat, but because that person's doing so well and done so much, you'll have to do the same.
Yes, yeah.
Trap.
Yeah, so just be careful with that. Just like as we always said, never change anything in the days leading up to the marathon. Just continue to eat what you're used to eating, so that the body is used to it. And yeah, just keep it simple. Don't read too much or listen too much, and just and I suppose the relaxation is the big part of it as well. To embrace it and be thankful that you're able to get out to the start line and you're able to run. And don't complicate things, because what's the saying? Where there's too much complexity, there's no room for simplicity, or something like that. So keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yeah. And even when you're running in races, then Catherina, because obviously you've won so many races and competed in so many great events. Mentally, I suppose, in the middle of those races, what might be going through your head, because it's such a long period of time? Or would you just be concentrating on getting through the race and just doing the best you can?
Yeah, well, that's for certain. You'll be concentrating on that, and preparation. Your preparation will give you a lot of confidence as well, knowing that you have prepared as best you possibly can, and knowing that you have left no stone unturned. That in itself is going to give you a lot of confidence. And then on the day and the couple of days leading up to it, just have a nice chat with yourself and just say that you're going to do your best. And I suppose there were things that I would have said to myself to soothe myself, so that I wouldn't get nervous or too anxious before a race. And I knew that I was going to run myself to exhaustion. And once I knew that, then there was nothing else I could do. And accepting beforehand as well that there is going to be points in the race whereby it's going to be challenging. And I think, like everything in life, once you accept, then it's much easier. So if you accept beforehand that, this is going to be hard and this is going to be uncomfortable, to say the least, when that point comes then in the race, or maybe a couple of times in the race, you've already accepted it, so it's not so bad. And don't be beating yourself up. Okay, be aware of those negative thoughts. That's important as well. And just think of them as just thoughts, just passing by, and realising, I suppose, how detrimental those negative thoughts are to you. So don't try to block them away. Just, there's a negative thought coming in, but that's not serving me very well, so I'm just going to let it pass by. And then just embracing the atmosphere and being thankful that you're able to be out there, as we said. And with the Dublin Marathon, a lot of people would have support and would have family at different parts of the course, and so say you're going to meet somebody 2 miles down the road, that'll keep you going for the next 2 miles, and then maybe you have a gel to look forward to in 5 minutes' time, or maybe a couple of sips of water. So you break it up like that, and just take it all in, and I suppose just visualize yourself crossing that finish line, and how relieved and how happy you're going to feel, and think of all the work and all the commitment that you put in as well. So I suppose to wrap it up, or just to say about that part of it, is just not to entertain those negative thoughts and be thankful.
Absolutely. And just while listening to you, Catherina, I was just thinking about all the preparation that has to go in, and the mental side of it. And then I think of the great Irish athletes we have who are competing at a really high level, at a really high quality. The level of effort and commitment they have to put in is unbelievable. And I'd even argue sometimes that they nearly don't get the credit they deserve for all that work and effort that they do put in.
Irish athletes, they train so hard. I don't think the general public realise how much effort and commitment they put in. Most of them will be training twice a day, and obviously they enjoy what they do, but I think they should get a little bit more recognition and for their efforts. And there's a lot of very good Irish athletes nowadays, and they're really giving people, the younger generation, they're spurring them on. And I often criticise about social media, but I think to a certain extent maybe it's a little bit of advantage as well for the younger generation, because they can see the older athletes and what they're doing, and they think, okay, I'd like to be like that as well. So it may have its advantages. And we have the World Championships coming up now in a few weeks, and that's something for us to look forward to. And as I say, the ones that get on the podium, they all possibly train equally as hard, but the ones that are on the podium maybe just, a little bit more talented than that, but they're giving us a lot of joy at the moment, and they should be applauded for it.
Absolutely, because I definitely feel you shouldn't have to win a national title or go represent at the Olympics for someone to get to know your name, because as you say, if you're playing GA and you could be playing with a team that's never won an All-Ireland title, but everyone will know who you are and kids will, look up to you. So I definitely think, I suppose, the increase in athletics of knowing different people and, different athletes and what they're doing is great. And I think we definitely need it more. I'm even thinking back to going to school, and I'm even thinking, did I ever get a call to say would I like to join the local athletics club in school? I probably didn't, but now maybe it's changed and there's more awareness regards that to get, more.
Yeah, and I believe there's even waiting lists in the athletic clubs now, so that's a very good sign. And and there is one thing as well I often think about is that we could be very competitive in Europe and possibly on the world stage at field events, like throwing a javelin or shot put or long jump or high jump or something like that. And hopefully, over the next number of years that we might have more people representing Ireland in those events.
Yeah, there's so many great sports, and we really shouldn't let others, every one of them should get recognition, but there shouldn't be those left to the kind of decide, either, especially when people are given so much time and dedication to those sports too.
Yes, yeah. And look, they do enjoy it, and it's their choice to do it, and they meet a lot of good people and make a lot of friends along the way. But, athletics is definitely more fashionable nowadays, and it's more people are taking part in it, which is great to see. And, look, the Dublin Marathon, it sells out like, in a very, very short period of time. So it just goes to show you how popular running is now, which is, it's nice to see that.
Absolutely. And Catherina, tell me, are you running now yourself? Are you giving any advice to or working with any people to try and help them with their running? Or
yeah, so I have some running groups, and there are people that love to run to better themselves, and I suppose I share my experiences with them from over the years, and they're very sociable, and some evenings it's a job to get them to stop talking, to get them to do a little bit of running. No, but they're great, and they're all different levels, and they really put in a really good effort, and a lot of them will be doing the marathon and different races, half marathons, and even the park runs and all of that. Some of them in the group have done 200, 300 park runs, which is phenomenal. And so it's nice to be able to share my experience with them.
Absolutely. It's very good that you have that bit. And as I said before, I love the idea of run clubs and kind of coming together. But I do see the people as well that love having that chat, and they're nearly going a little bit slower than they should be because they just want to have the conversation.
Yeah. But generally when we get to work, they really work, but it's the before and after. But look, that's all part of it, and I really love to see that. Because I'm bringing them together, and it's really nice. That's an important part of it.
Yeah, and Catherina, I've a question for you I want to ask. So, and I am putting you on the spot a little bit with this one. Somebody's on the couch, they're not, I suppose, active, and they'd like to start doing a bit of running. What are the main tips for maybe someone like that? Would you give them maybe just to even make a start, or what would you advise them maybe that they could do just to get into it?
Yeah, I think if they download the Couch to 5K app, a lot of people have started running from that, and they just feel so good on themselves, and it's a nice gradual build up, and it'll get them to run 5K continuously. You can maybe in 8 or 10 weeks time, and that's a great achievement. And then maybe start doing some park runs, and it's a great social event, the park runs as well. And, I know that a lot of people, their week revolves around the park run, and it's a new lease of life for people. So everybody can run a 5K, there's no doubt about that, and just build up gradually to it. And, within a couple of years, then you could end up running a marathon, but just be patient with it. But, it is, above all other sports, I think running, it makes you feel good in yourself. And, I think it relieves stress, and the world can be a little bit busy at the moment, and it's a nice way just to relieve the stress, and everything seems much easier then when you get out for a little bit of a run.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. If you've a lot of problems on your mind, a run is a great way just to clear the mind, and suddenly maybe the problems are not as big, or they're not there anymore maybe.
Yeah. No, it is lovely. So and just trust the process and what you're doing with that couch to 5K, and just build it up gradually. Don't be taking any big jumps, and before you know it, you'll be able to run a 5K.
Excellent. I think that's really good advice as well, and it's nice to have an app that you can follow and do. So nice, because I suppose it could be nerve-wracking going from the couch to a group when you're not actually running all the time yourself. So having something like that, even to build yourself up or go with a friend, is a really good thing as well.
Yeah. And then eventually, you can join a group if you want to do that. Some people like to run by themselves, or just if they have small children or that, they just can't meet a group. So it's just handy for them to just run out the door for 20 minutes or a half an hour, and that sets them up, and everything is nice when they come back, and they can deal with any issues that they have then when they get back after a run.
Absolutely. Catherina, it's been absolutely great to talk to you, and especially from someone who's achieved and done so much, and it's great to hear you're still doing a little bit of running and passing on your advice to so many other people as well. It's just great.
Thanks very much, Christopher. Lovely to chat to you. Thanks a million.
Thanks very much, Catherina.
Thanks for listening to the Emerald Athlete podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a review, and don't forget to check out our Instagram page, the Emerald Athlete Podcast.